which is what qualities make an exceptional lead in your functions? What specific skills and behaviors do high-performing leads consistently demonstrate? And I just want to jump in here because when I worked with Evgeny, we were doing an exercise on defining a lead, and I found it very funny because we thought that they were basically a perfect human being who knew everything at all times and was able to do everything and speak well and never miss a communication. And that sounds really great in theory, and we all know that that's not the characteristics of a human. So let's hear what you guys think about what makes a great lead.
I think for statistical programming, at least, technical skills go without saying, right? But for the functional lead, for the lead statistical programmer, I think that they should not necessarily be the strongest programmers. They should not necessarily be the guru at, let's say, statistic standards. So what is most important is our communicational skills and other soft skills. So they need to be stress resistant. They need to maintain, keep being efficient, working under stress, under changing environments, under changing requirements. So I don't really know what exceptional lead is, but the strong lead really needs to have a good experience and have very strong soft skill.
So I can definitely agree with Evgeny there. Yeah, I think across the functions, having good communication skills is critical for a good lead, because from a data management perspective, you need to be able to communicate to all the functional leads everything that relates to data management. But you also have an internal team, so you might not necessarily need the strong technical skills that is needed to build a database, but you need to be able to bring the team together to meet the timelines of a database build. So having that strong communication skill set is really important. The one thing that is constant in the industry that we work in is change. So I have found that the stronger leads are more adaptable to changes. We know how it goes on a study. You work really hard, you design the perfect database, you have your first patient in, and then the amendment comes, right? So, and having the ability to deal with the changes that comes with this environment, but also the changes on studies, maybe changes in your company, is important, because it can really inhibit the way that you function every day. And then, of course, this is a high-paced environment. It's sometimes you have 3 studies with all their deliverables at the same time. You need to be able to manage your time, work under that stressful environment, and do it well. I think from a lead perspective, that would be the qualities that I think is important. So, Bobby?
I gotta stop going last here. You guys are crushing it. Those, all 3 of you, phenomenal. I completely agree. Communication, number 1. Be able to handle stress and multiple tasks at one time. Audrey, brilliant. I think the one thing that I can add that hasn't been said yet is an exceptional lead to me is someone who knows the entire process flow. They can think ahead and say, okay, today I'm working on this data transfer agreement. But this data transfer agreement is going to have impact on my statistical programming team in a couple of weeks when we start doing CDISC standards. So let me make sure that we're mapping these questionnaire data correctly in this data transfer agreement, for example. And being able to foresee or even project what issues might arise, and then use clear communication and stress management techniques to handle those situations earlier versus later, really makes an exceptional lead for me. Someone who can predict issues and then work early to prevent them from actually occurring. That's a good thing.
Something that I think that I want to add, that's not necessarily related to your study outcomes, but in this industry, as a lead, you work with a global team. So it's important for leads to have good cultural awareness. Understand like where your teams are located, how they work, because that really helps. If you have that understanding and you can bring your team together as a lead, you have the right recipe to deliver successful outcomes.
Okay, I'm going to flip to the next question now. I just also want to highlight something that Bobby was saying, which is it's the ability to know what will be impacted by something you're working on today. And if you don't know what something is going to impact, you should ask, right? Because I think we've all worked in places where a statistician didn't, or a statistical programmer didn't review a data transfer agreement, and the third party data ended up having problems that made it programmatically challenging or impacted the statistical analysis. So it's always important to think, what am I working on? Who's it going to impact? And gee, I wonder if I should get their input. And a line manager is always going to be willing to help you navigate that if you don't know. So always ask.